group of humble people to celebrate your goodness and the generosity of our Keller-Williams brothers and sisters. We thank you for the vision and provision of Heartland Partners in Caring, how you have allowed Heartland Partners in Caring to be a channel of blessing and hope. Thank you for each person who has chosen to be here and celebrate. Thank you for the contributors, vendors, and hotel staff who have worked so hard to create a wonderful event. Thank you for our speaker. May her words inspire and teach us life lessons. We thank you for Susan Highland and Charity and their contribution to this event. Lord, we thank you for this country. We ask that you bless our time together, and we pray that our time together will be inspiring and uplifting. And now, Scott Harmon is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I was here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please ask the board to join us on stage. Well, good morning, everybody. We appreciate you coming to the breakfast today. We'd like to welcome you all. My name is Pam Woodruff, and I'm the founder and executive director of Heartland Partners in Caring. It is my pleasure today to introduce you to our wonderful board of directors who give so much time and effort and emotion and love and care and blessings for everybody who receives the grant. We take your money very seriously. We take huge consideration with every grant and make sure that it would be something that all of you would bless. So I'd like to start over here. We have Robin Marks. Robin is our representative from the Shawnee office. Michael Hearn and James Hearn. They kind of split up the meetings, whichever one can be there, and they are from Lee Summit. We have Linda Woodward from Prairie Village. I like that. We have Lee Dio, who is our president from Shawnee. Starla James is the representative from the Northland. She got some lightning and thunder from that. And the newly married Cindy, formerly Gerhardt and now Cindy York. Elizabeth Gilbert is our our secretary from the Northland office. Terry Gilgar is our representative from the Southland office. We have Judy Johns, the chairman of the board, and a great friend and a blessing in my life. She's the chairman of the board. Ron Mallory is the vice chairman of the board. Dee Dee Morse, who I babysat when I was growing up. When she was growing up. I'm only a year older than her, though. She's from Lakeland. And Ken Levinsky, our affiliate member from HMS Home Warranty. Jeremiah, do we have our video?
What's your name?
Trevor.
Maybe Trevor is absolutely right. Why should we think about the world? I mean, after all, what does the world expect of us?
Expect.
Of you. What does the world expect of you?
Nothing.
Nothing. My God, boys and girls, he's absolutely right. Nothing. I mean, here you are, you can't drive, you can't vote, you can't even go to the bathroom without a pass from me. You're stuck right here in the 7th grade. But not forever, because one day you'll be free. All right, but what if on that day you're free, you haven't prepared, you're not ready, and then you look around you and you don't like what the world is? What if the world is just a big disappointment?
We're screwed.
Unless you take the things that you don't like about this world and you flip them upside down right on their ass. Don't tell your parents I used that word. And you can start that today. This is your assignment. Extra credit. It goes on all year long. Now, wait a minute. What? What's wrong with this? What's the matter? Yes?
It's like so
So what? There must be a word to finish that sentence. Someone help her?
weird. Crazy.
Weird. Crazy.
Hard. Bummer.
Bummer. Hard. How about possible? It's possible. The realm of possibility exists where? In each of you. Here. So you can do it. You can surprise us. It's up to you. Or you can just sit back and let it atrophy.
That's me. That's me. And that's 3 people. And I'm going to help them. But it has to be something really big. Something they can't do by themselves. So I do it for them. Then they do it for 3 other people. That's 9. And I do 3 more.
That's 27, so I'm not really good at math, but it gets big really fast, you know?
All right. A little articulation, please. Yes.
I think it's a good idea.
Sean?
It's stupid.
Adam?
It's the honor system.
People blow off the honor system.
So what? Just because you do.
Well, Trevor, the class seems to think that you've come up with an overly utopian idea. Look that word up in a minute.
Like, perfect world?
Mm-hmm.
So?
Welcome to 2012 Heartland Partners in Caring Breakfast, where we're paying it forward. I apologize to the right side of the room that the video screen is not working. Hopefully we can get that up as we go forward. I joined Keller Williams in 2005. In January, I was very excited. I was at the Overland Park office, and I followed Judy Johns. I had done some transactions with Judy and Prudential and admired the way she did business, so I was kind of watching her, and I went and joined Keller Williams. In March of that same year, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. As a parallel, Judy was just coming at the end of her treatment as I was beginning mine. And she really walked me through that and was a great support. Cancer turned out to be the worst and best thing that ever happened to me. Because I would have never in my wildest dreams thought of launching a charity. I was too busy making money, buying stuff, chasing dreams and ideas that really weren't fulfilling me. And I cannot tell you how fulfilled I am today to see all of you sitting here in support of this charity. We had a child that died in the Overland Park office, and our office was tasked with raising money for a funeral for her. We were met by a business that helped us out and paid half, but it was a big challenge that we only had 2 or 3 days to raise this money. Right after that, Hurricane Katrina hit, and each of us was tasked with adopting 3 agents from the area of the hurricane and raising money for them so that they could even get their feet on the ground and have some place to sleep, something to eat, and clothing to wear. The Overland Park office raised $36,000 in 2 weeks. But I felt like everywhere I went, I was always asking agents for money. As you know, we have a parent charity, Keller Williams Cares, that was started by Jean Grubb, an agent out of Texas. And I started talking to Judy about how she started that, and Judy put me in contact with Jean. And I started asking questions and thinking of possibilities and not having limited thinking. I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. Judy went and talked to John Davis, and he gave us his blessing. And then Judy talked to Mo Anderson, and she triple gave us the blessing because they were overwhelmed with grants. So everybody still gives money to KW Cares, but instead of putting our 90% there, we keep it here so that we can help all of you. In 2006, Heartland Partners in Caring was born. We started with $3,200 in the bank that Overland Park had in an emergency fund. And look where we are now. It's amazing. Amazing to see these numbers. And I know that this side of you might not be able to see it, so I'm going to read those to you. In 2009, we granted $15,085. In 2010, we granted $23,883. In 2011, we granted $47,635. And so far this year, we have granted $35,000. We cannot do that without all of you and our contributors, and we and the people who have received these monies are very grateful. I have an exciting announcement today. Right now, we're the 8 offices here in the Kansas City area. But recently, I took a trip to Wichita with Kent Levinsky. He picked me up at an indecent time in the morning, and I never drink coffee because I go 100 miles an hour without coffee. And we stopped at Quick Trip and got a huge cup of coffee. And we were driving down the highway, and the more coffee I drank, the faster I talked, and we were bouncing ideas off of each other. And the next thing I knew, I looked over at Kent's speedometer, and he was exceeding 80 miles an hour, and I was like, he said, we're gonna get to Wichita at 7 o'clock at this rate. I said, why are you driving so fast? He said, because you're talking so fast. It was fun. We have invited in our 2 Wichita offices to join us in Heartland Partners in Caring. It is our board's goal that we will continue to bring other offices into the Heartland as we get our new businesses established. And you guys, Wichita's having their own breakfast this morning, and joining us, they're live streaming with us, and here is the Wichita office. This is really exciting news for us and for them. It's going to let us grow. It's going to let us reach out. So it is our pleasure to welcome Wichita to the Heartland Partners in Caring. That would be Signature Partners. Wichita Signature Partners. You can clap now. And Wichita Hometown Partners. Keller Williams cannot do what they do for their offices, and especially events like this, without the support of our generous vendor partnerships. We would like to recognize our contributors for giving the generous donations for today's inspiring event. Will all please stand as your company name is read. Chicago Title has been our title sponsor for 5 years, each Inspirational Breakfast, as well as many other events. Sue Cowan and Vicki Witt, escrow manager, the Chicago Title team, and Chicago Title reps, please stand to be recognized. Old Republic Home Warranty and Janelle Anderson have been a consistent contributor to our Inspirational Breakfast over the years. They have contributed $9,000. Janelle and her boss are here today, Dirk Dow. Would you please stand and be recognized? And I'm going to ask Janelle to come up to the stage, please. You're welcome. We created Janelle's own category this year. We called it the Diamond Contributor because she contributed more than our $1,000. She contributed $2,000 to this breakfast. So we just want to give her a second to speak.
I just want to say thank you to all of you for the opportunity for Dirk and I to be here to join you and make any difference. It means very much to us as well. And this is my personal check for $250 to bring that to an even $9,000. So thank you all very, very, very much.
All right. Our next category for our contributors is our platinum sponsor level. This is a $1,000 level. HMS Home Warranty, Kent Levinsky and his boss Angela, who came in today to join us for breakfast. First American title, Rob Curtis. Rob here. Next level is a gold sponsor at the $500 level, Metropolitan Mortgage, Rick Woodruff. Everyone thinks Rick and I are married, so I want to clear it up. We're not. I ask him for money and keys to the car and credit cards sometimes, and he just says no, get a job. Okay, Roush Coleman Homes, Rachel Durant. Our next level is a $250 level. There's our silver sponsors. Continental Title, Kathy Thompson, or the Continental Title team. Fry Wagner Moving and Storage, Karen Locke. Centralized Showing Service, Sherry Dyer Shaw. Inspect Home Inspections, Matt Miller. Stewart Title, Cindy Hood, and the Stewart Title staff. Community America Credit Union, Jason Kepler. Leader One Financial, Darren Copeland. Megastar Financial, Gina Schnitz. Megastar Financial and everybody associated with Megastar Financial. 210 Home Warranty, Shauna Pyfrom. And then we have some other sponsors, HWA Home Warranty, Gina Claxton. Jason McCauley from HSA Home Warranty wanted to sponsor the event, but he's out of town, and he has to attend the event to be able to have his company sponsor it. But Jason and his wife made a personal contribution of $100. And At Home's inspection services, Woody Ludwig. I don't think Woody's here. He had to have some knee surgery, so he's out of business for a while. Thank you, Woody. Oh, you are? You're here. What's your name? It is my pleasure now to introduce to you our guest MC for the day, Susan Hyland from Fox 4 News.
Thank you very much. Glad to be here. Be just organized so I can have my hands free. I love the pay it forward thing. It sounds like a good television segment. Oh, wait, and it is. You wouldn't believe the response that we get, and it does. It is a great premise, and I'm glad to see other people are doing it, and it does make a very impactful surprise on people, and it does impact other people's lives, as you'll hear from some of the people that you have made an impact on. I'm very honored to be part of such a great event and a company like Keller Williams, who clearly pays it forward to their KW families. It is remarkable that you not only have a charity in KW Cares that takes care of Keller Williams nationwide, but your own personal charity in the Heartland area. I admire the vision of those who created the Serve Heartland Partners in Caring. It is all of you that make this possible, the agents, the staff, administrators, team leaders, operating principals, and the owners who give to this organization. Your board showed you a graph of what you paid over the past few years, and in 2012 alone, you gave 10 grants totaling the $35,000. Here are some of the heartfelt words from some grateful recipients who would like to say thank you. August 30th, 2012 will be a day I will never forget, but wish I could remember or go back to change the outcome of that day. I got home from work at 6 o'clock and was told by my boyfriend Josh that our 2.5-month-old was acting sick. He said that when he got home from work around 4, she was fussier than she had ever been. He stated that around 5 o'clock that evening, she let out a blood-curdling scream that was worse than he had ever heard from her before. He calmed her and she went to sleep in her crib. She was still sleeping around 7 o'clock when I tried to wake to feed her that she hadn't eaten since around 2 o'clock, and she still wouldn't eat at 7. We thought maybe it was an allergic reaction to the amoxicillin that I had given her that morning. I called on the doctor at her doctor's office and was told it didn't sound like an allergic reaction, but she is definitely not acting right. We should take her to Children's Nursing Hospital. Of course, we did just that, as any parent would. It was the longest drive I've ever driven. We got to the hospital and we were rushed into a back room as she was being hooked up to monitors and they removed her onesie. Josh and I noticed a small bruise on her right side. We immediately looked at each other and said, "What did he do to her?" Talking about a friend, or so we thought, of ours who had been watching both Morgan, 2.5 months old, and Alexis, my 9-year-old, and living with us while we worked. The doctors immediately took Morgan for x-rays and returned to tell us how terrible it really was. As bad as we could have thought, it wasn't even close to how bad it really was. Our little girl had 2 fractures on her skull, bleeding behind her eyes, and swelling of the brain. They transferred Morgan to Children's Mercy downtown. We were told she may not make it there. This was extremely difficult for Josh. His 7-year-old niece had been lighted there 5 years ago and unfortunately passed away just a few days later. We drove there and were met by the charge nurse and the chaplain. We were told that Morgan had not yet arrived. Josh and I still had the fear of her not even making it there. Our mothers and my sister arrived at Children's Mercy as Morgan finally arrived. One hurdle down, she made the transport, but we had no idea what we were in for the next minutes, hours, days, weeks, or years. We were told the doctors were getting her stable and we would be able to see her in an hour or so. Unfortunately, it was even longer and before the doctors were able to get her stable. Johnson County detectives came to get our statements. This was a 3 to 4 hour interview with them all this time, and we had no idea how our baby was doing. The detective informed me that his name was not the suspect's real name, it was actually his middle name. His legal name was something else. We didn't know this. His mom called him by another name. His friend, even from high school, called him from yet another name. They also said that he was saying that he didn't do anything wrong and that he would never hurt Morgan. But they knew that the timeline he was with him was the only was the only one with the baby when the trauma happened. The interview was over, and we finally got to see our baby. She was in the PICU, Pediatrics Intensive Care Unit. She was hooked up to so many monitors, had a neck brace on, and had a breathing tube in her mouth. She had a central line going directly into her heart and 3 IVs total. It was terrible to see our little angel like this, and it is a picture that I will never get out of my head. The doctors explained that her brain was swelling, and it was causing her to have seizures, so that had her on a very strong sedative. The next fear, that if her brain continued to swell, put pressure on her brain, she would die. The next 72 hours would be touch and go. So if she made it till Sunday around 9 o'clock, then the brain would stop swelling, and that's one less thing we'd have to worry about. Those next 3 days were excruciating, knowing that at any time her baby girl could die. On Friday afternoon, as I was visiting with the baby, the charge nurse came in and said, "He confessed." In my state of confusion, I heard he got away. He went to get Josh so he could actually hear what happened. Yes, she said he confessed to hurting our baby. There was relief, fear, and utter hatred all going through at once. 2 hours later, we summoned into the same room I had interviewed with the detective. We were told that DCF, the state of Kansas, was taking custody of both the girls. Their reasoning was that obviously Morgan had been hurt by someone who lived in our home, and this person has a previous felony. Once again, we were shocked. What felony? For what, we asked, but they couldn't tell us for what charge or when it happened. In less than 24 hours, we found out that our baby was hurt terribly, but the person responsible was denying it, then to have our baby make the transport, then to find out that this person finally admitted to hurting our baby, only to find out that the girls were no longer in our custody. As you can imagine, this time was very emotionally draining. We were still allowed to go into the room to see Morgan, but Alexis, our 9-year-old, would be taken to foster care immediately. A hearing was set for Tuesday, the 3rd of September. The next few days were touch and go, with Morgan as the 72-hour brain swelling deadline starting getting closer and closer. She had an EEG brain scan to see if she was having brain seizures that could be seen on the outside, and for this, we would be put into a 24-hour medically induced coma. The nurses took advantage of this to paint our princess's fingers and toenails. This was wonderful. She was in those monitors for 2 hours when the neurology team said she wasn't having those feared brain seizures and was not necessary for her to be in that coma. This is when I started to see the strength and fight for our little baby. Her seizures, that one you could see stopped on Saturday the 1st at 8:06, and that was her last one. Sunday came, and the deadline was almost here. We decided to have her baptized due to our religion and beliefs. We were told her brain was probably still swelling, but didn't think it would swell enough to put any pressure on the brainstem. This was the best news that we could have gotten. They scheduled another CAT scan on Monday. This showed that the brain had not swollen any more than the scan they did the first night. It would now start going back down. They did see brain damage, but there was no way of knowing what permanent damage, if any, there was. We would only know that when our baby starts walking, talking, sitting up, all other growth milestones. The bleeding behind the eyes was extensive and could possibly cause blindness. Morgan woke up nicely from the sedative, but she still hadn't opened her eyes. This was something both Mom and Dad had been waiting for and what seemed like forever. Tuesday, they took her breathing tube out, hoping that she would be able to breathe with enough helpful oxygen, and by the end of the day, it took only 1 hour before she was breathing normal air. Again, showing her strength and fight. The doctor told us to go into the hearing by that time. We got back, Mom and Dad could hold her, another thing that we had been waiting on. We went to the hearing, and were told that both girls temporarily would be placed with my parents, but still considered foster care placement until the state decides differently. We got back to the hospital hoping everything would still be okay with Morgan, as this was the first time we had left since Thursday night. We walked into the room and the nurse immediately asked, "You want to hold your baby?" "Of course," I said. As they put her into the arms, she opened her eyes. It was the best thing that could have happened, And Dad, of course, took pictures as I cried tears of joy. They were only open a few minutes, but it was absolutely wonderful. And once again, a girl was put in front of this little fighter, and she cleared it. The next few days were okay. Morgan continued to get stronger and stronger other than the feeding tube and monitor. She was acting like a normal baby, eyes open, looking around. She laughed on Wednesday, an absolutely lovely sound. We were told that if she was able to continue to eat, the feeding tube and her vitals were still strong for the next 24 hours, she would be moved, transferred out of the PIC into a regular room. It was wonderful news that I had built such a great relationship with the staff of the PICU, and Morgan was being so cared for. I was nervous to move her out of there, although it was a triumph. Thursday night, she was moved to a regular room, which we could see. She could sleep in the room with her, and we had a chair to sit in while holding her. She continued to do wonderful the following days. She had a lot of medical professionals come in to see her, and all were amazed at what great strides she had accomplished in 1 week. Her occupational therapist would come to work and tell us that what her concerns were. She wasn't working on her fingers, not focusing on objects, not looking to the left side. But by the next day, she would be excelling at all of these things. She was a fighter. The nurses continued to increase her feedings and spreading them out to get it to where she wouldn't have to be on the continuous feeding tube when she left the hospital. Morgan, as usual, continued to amaze the hospital staff and us. It should have taken her 36 hours to get where she is being fed 2 ounces every 3 hours. Instead, Morgan did it in 18 hours. Every morning when the doctors did rounds, there were more and more people to see this little miracle. She was supposed to be in the PICU for 2 to 3 weeks, then in the hospital another month or so. She got out of the PICU in 6 days and completely out of the hospital in 13 days total. So now she was out of the hospital, but she was not home because of the temporary placement of my parents. I went home to a house that was just as I left it that terrible night, with the exception of some things being rearranged with the home being considered a crime scene and the search warrant that was served. But it was still quiet without the girls. I had a few meltdowns that first night. It was so quiet and surreal. Now to how Morgan is doing now. She left the hospital with that feeding tube I spoke about and could possibly be permanent. Within 3 weeks, the feeding tube was out, hopefully for good, but only time will tell if she doesn't keep her weight up. It will be put back in. But she will be on a baby food in a few months, and that time gets closer and closer, the less likely it will be that the feeding tube will have to be put back in. Children's Mercy actually released her completely, even as an outpatient, but her pediatrician wanted her neurology team to stick with her for now. She's trying to sit up on her own and holds her head up wonderfully. Everything that a 4.5-month-old should be doing by drug guidelines, she is doing, and of course, as always, doing exceptionally. There is still blood over the central vision in the right eye and 2 tiny spots of blood not over the central vision in the left eye. They say that the blood has to go away on its own. Only her body can do this, but it is extremely better than it was. Until all the blood is gone from behind her eyes, she is still considered not to be in recovery, so therapy can be done. But she is not blind. She will probably need glasses in the future, but Josh and I say if that's all that comes out of this terrible trauma, bring it on. She is moving all her extremities and doing as good as she can right now. Time will tell if there is any permanent brain damage. As for Alexis, the 9-year-old, she is resilient. She loves staying with G and Poppy, the parents, but she has told me that she misses her mom and her friends. She loves getting up early before school to spend sister time with Morgan. We did this even before all of this happened. So far, she has a little bit of normalcy, I guess. I cannot give a lot of details as far as the custody goes, due to a confidentiality clause by the judge. But both girls are strong, sometimes even stronger than me and Josh. As far as the person that did this to our baby, he's in jail and has since the night we originally took Morgan to the hospital. He has $500,000 bond and is facing 11 level 4 felony with a previous felony. If he is convicted, his maximum sentence is 60 years with a minimum of 35 years. As far as Keller Williams Diamond Partners and what they have done, when all this happened, I had only worked there for 6 weeks, not long enough to expect to still have my job whenever I actually came back to work, if ever. Sarah Livick came to see us at the hospital on Labor Day. I told her I really appreciated her coming and wasn't sure how long I was going to be with PW. I respect that you have to do what's right for the company, but I have to do what's right for my baby and our whole family, so I don't know when I would be able to come back. She looked at me and said, my job is there and I was ready to come back. Although it wasn't a priority for me to have a job, it was a huge relief. KWDE paid a week's vacation and kept my job until I was ready to go back. I went back on the 24th of September and was welcomed with open arms. Agents and staff were very concerned and sympathetic, always asking what they could do for me, and if I needed anything, just name it. KWDE has been very understanding of me leaving early for court dates, doctor's appointments, and I was always told by Rob Hill, our team leader, that KW was my sanctuary. Everyone needs a sanctuary in situations like this, and this is mine. I have definitely felt this to be true in the past 4 weeks. I'm thankful for the place I work and the people that I work with. Thank you for listening to my story and hopefully being able to help me out financially since the bills have really started piling up in the past week or so. Josh and I thought we were doing okay, but now we feel like we are barely holding our head above water. Please stand, Valerie Kennedy, and be supported. Here's another letter. To Heartland Partners in Caring. Hello, my name is Brandy Carter. I'm writing of my current situation. Please bear with me as this is one of the most challenging letters I've ever had to write. I'll start from the beginning the best I can and apologize now for this isn't one of my strongest qualities. February 2010, my troubled relationship of 14 years came to an end, leaving me a single mom of 3 girls, 14, 12, and 5, to pick up and push on for us. As I'm sure you can imagine, it's never easy being a single parent in the best of situations, yet alone, truly a single parent to all aspects of its meaning. When my ex left, he never looked back, especially when it came to our girls. Little did I know then, this really was the least of our worries. 6 months later, my mom, maternal grandmother who legally adopted me, was served with guardianship papers by her oldest son contesting her competency. The custody paperwork on the girls had been filed 1 month prior to this filing. I never dreamed I would end up living in a courtroom again. As I had 2 trials unfolding on top of me, I honestly thought it couldn't get any worse than this, only to discover those would be my famous last words. Life had become very demanding, and my job and income was suffering as a result of it. Throughout the current struggles, I started falling behind financially. My water service had been disconnected for 6 weeks due to non-payment, along with many others. At this moment, I had been hotlined to the Division of Child Protective Services. They entered our wife's homes for 18 months, turning everything completely upside down. A year later, the custody trial was still one stall after another, and Mom's trial was on full force. I'm sure you can imagine the wedge it drove into the family as it all started to unfold, and the reality of what my uncle had brought upon Mom started to sink in. June of 2011, my mom's trial ended with her being declared incompetent and ward of the county. Never going through anything like this, I was extremely uneducated as to what all this really meant. My mom and I purchased my home, May 2002, solely in her name. As the county started taking over every aspect of Mom's life, my reality grew even dimmer. I worked hard and focused on paying my mortgage off June 2011, thinking I had really accomplished something huge, only to realize my home was now in jeopardy. My mom had requested all throughout the court proceedings that my home to be titled over to me, and even with the signed beneficiary deed from back in 2002, her request had fallen on deaf ears. I started to receive notices from the county demanding that I start paying Mom rent or vacate the property. This left me completely at a loss. With all this underway, I felt trapped. I was forced to make a tough decision to downsize my management company. I had to put a lot of sweat and tears into the building of my business from the ground up the past 4 years. It was back to the attorneys, which ended up as a dead-end avenue for me, trying to salvage our home for my girls in the process. I was unaware that Mom's medical treatment had been neglected. Mom had been on a CPAP for several years to treat sleep apnea. The CPAP provides oxygen to her brain and heart. In her current condition, with Alzheimer's setting in, this has become a very vital part of her medical needs. Little did we know that she had been on her CPAP machine for quite some time, nor was she making regular routine appointments. I had been so caught up in the moment of our lives, I was really struggling to keep it all together for all involved. Throughout this whole process, we were also extremely hard hit with a total of 8 deaths of family members and friends. Everything from natural causes to an 18-year-old needing a whole heart and lung transplant that ended her battle a year later when she rejected last September, reaching the ultimate blow for the girls and I. Once again, I think all this got to turn around somehow. We were going to get the break we need, only to take on another battle with my middle daughter, Katie. She's very athletic and turned full speed to sports to cope with everyday life. While at a track meet on the high jump, she missed the mat and landed on her head and shoulders. I rushed her to the hospital to learn that she had a paper cut tear on her brain and she was bleeding, an injury to her rotator cuff. We underwent 8 months of specialists at Children's Mercy Hospital to get her back on her feet to undergo several more sports injuries between track and soccer injuries. More specialists and 4 more months of physical therapy. I'm sure you can imagine by now the downhill spiral that has the hold of us. Somewhere in the midst of all this, I really lost sight of how my girls were coping. My oldest daughter, Kelsey, is on a very dark road at the moment. I reached out in every direction. I couldn't find relief for her. I reached out to Pathways this past September to get things leveled out in a healthy manner. A group of kids at her school nominated her for homecoming court only to humiliate her. Another downward spiral. I received another call early October 2012 stating that my mom had been rushed from her doctor's appointment to the hospital with complications with her heart, stimulated from not being on her CPAP. As I sat in the hospital with Mom, I learned from 2 of her doctors that she was not going to be able to continue living on her own. So I loaded up her and brought her home with us to have now taken on full-time care while trying to sort out all the pieces of every mess. A couple of weeks after Mom came to live with us, Kelsey ended up at the hospital with pneumonia. I had got back home only to discover that our gas had been shut off, leaving us with no hot water or heat and 1 very sick girl, as well as our electric was going to be shut off the following Monday. I've been neglecting my needs on all levels as well. I made a follow-up doctor's appointment for some complications I had been putting off since I was 18. I know I had neglected it for too long. When the phone rang, my doctor informed me of the need to come back for another appointment. At that time, I was informed they needed to do a biopsy, it's scheduled for November 5th. Pending the results, I may have to undergo more surgery. I had honestly hit the wall, and most of all, a low I had ever experienced. Complete failure had taken over on every level. We honestly are at a point where the little trials of life have caught up to our biggest trials of life. I honestly don't know how to pull it all back in, just keep surviving any longer. Recently, as I arrived at the office for work with lawn in hand, I was met in the parking lot by one very special lady. As she approached me to see how I was holding up, I completely broke down. She immediately started putting things back into place. I hadn't realized until that moment just how much I had held it in for so long, and that more than anything, we needed those arms wrapped around us. We needed the love, and mostly needed the reminders of the blessings that I have to continue to most of us throughout all of this. I come from an old-fashioned upbringing. I've never had to sit where I am today and face the realities that I have now. I have worked since I was 14 years old. Ironically, I started sitting for a single mom of 3 girls. I could never put into words the values my office family are in the process of bringing back to life for us. The support, endless love, fresh ideas, regained and strengthened my faith and me again. With the girls' custody trial approaching any day now, I know I will make it through the end. I'm currently trying to find a way through all the red tape with my mom in the county. My mom has some land that she would like to try to sell and provide some of the home care relief for me so I can focus more on building back my business and being mom. I received a call from another out-of-state investor I'm currently working with on getting an account set up, as well as making some much-needed adjustments in my business on new avenues of being able to collect my paychecks at the end of the day. I was contacted yesterday by one of the old investors who had brought up a little bit more work my direction as well. It feels so good to finally see the light again. I know I still have some tough hurdles to overcome. I also know I will make it, be able to rebuild once again. I can't thank all of you enough. There is no way I would have been able to repay all of you for all you've done by providing me with the biggest blessing of all, restored faith and just being here as we rebuild together. Sincerely, Brandy. And Brandy isn't able to join us today. Please keep her in your prayers. She's undergone another treatment for cancer, but her family appreciates all of your help. This letter is from Jason Pearson. I don't even know where to begin to be able to express our gratitude to HPIC for their caring, concern, prayer, and assistance. When I was injured, we thought it was a simple fix. I thought I'd be good to go, but when we quickly discovered that it was a much bigger deal than we thought, the surgeon said 6 to 8 weeks off. It was almost panic on my part. I said, Lord, how can you do that? We have 5 children and I'm self-employed. No work means no money to pay the bills or eat. It wasn't long before my mom heard that her OP, Teresa Granger, and encouraged us to apply to HPIC. And long story made short, they were able to assist us with 2 months worth of money for food, gas, living expenses, and etc. This was a huge answer to our prayers for our entire family. The panel at HPIC kept in touch with my mom to see how my recovery was going and let us know that they were praying for us. They are also so grateful for an awesome God that uses a group like HPIC to meet the needs of KW agents and their families. Thank you so much. That's from Jason Pearson. And here's a note from Jackie. As an agent at Keller Williams, it is an amazing thing to see how HPIC works. I've watched it over the years take care of agents and their families, and I remember thinking how awesome that was. But then it hit home in a very real way. I praise God for the way He works through our company to bless KW families. Jackie Pearson. Just a few of the grants. It's my pleasure now to introduce a beneficiary of a precious grant to give you and I as to what this incredible organization has done to help one of our own move forward in her life. Tanda received the grant last year, and we asked her to give you an update. Tanda Cook with KW Legacy Shawnee, will you please come forward?
In early 2011, every day was a struggle for me. I was suffering from a rare blood disease called aplastic anemia, which is a cousin to leukemia. It is a disease that prevents your body from producing red blood cells. The symptoms of the disease are fatigue, fainting, seizures, and dizziness, just to name a few. Over the 4-year-long struggle, there were times I was on as many as 24 had no choice. I was a single mom raising 4 young boys and caring for my disabled father who suffers from a severe brain injury due to a motorcycle accident. I was also very new to real estate, as I was only a few months into my new career after working from home for the past 10 years. And as you all know, beginning a career as a realtor is a struggle in itself. I was getting by from check to check, but getting more and more behind as time went by. And then another source of income was suddenly gone as well. I was in complete panic mode when I learned of the HPIC grant. I was new to Keller Williams, so I hadn't heard of it before. I was kindly encouraged to apply. When I received the grant, it was an enormous relief financially and did wonders for my stress level. I was then able to catch up on some bills and focus more on my health, my family, and my career. Since the grant, my business has taken off. I was able to cap in 6 months last year, and this year I will cap within 3 months. I got my dad into an assisted living home, which is a huge stress relief for my boys and I. The aplastic anemia is under control due to the bone marrow transplant I was able to receive on October 22nd of this year. I will officially be in remission on January 22nd, 2013. I am now free of tracking blood cell percentages. And the most exciting part, I'm a newlywed. To me, inspiration is the process of instilling faith in someone to motivate him or her to do something. Many people do things out of the kindness of their hearts and don't even realize they are inspiring others around them. Thank you, HPIC, and my fellow KW agents and others who donate for inspiring me.
In the past, HPIC has selected a few organizations outside of our Keller Williams family to extend our reach and pay it forward. We look for the causes that align with our vision, values, and causes that the board of directors feels are generous donors that will wholeheartedly support. This year we chose Camp Aaron and Bear Heart Buddies, a local children's camp for grieving children. Your donations to HPIC help 50 grieving children deal with the loss of a parent or other loved one. What a difference you make by paying it forward.
Good morning, Heartland Partners in Caring. My name is Molly Ike, and I am founder of Bear Heart Buddy. I hope you are having a wonderful, inspirational breakfast. You have been an inspiration to children and families by your contribution and collaboration with the Moyer Foundation and Bear Heart Buddy with the Adopt a Bear Heart program. Bear Heart Buddy is a therapeutic tool to help children and families cope with the loss of a loved one. Bear Heart has a special pouch where children are able to fill it full of memories, photographs, write messages and notes, or place any sentimental items that help them feel connected to their loved one who has passed away. We always tell children, whenever you are missing your loved one, all you have to do is look inside Bear Heart and look at all of the pictures, memories, and photographs and hug them tight and know that although they are no longer with you, you are always connected by love.
That's where you find
This year, Heartland Partners in Caring donated bear hearts to the Moyer Foundation's Camp Aaron in Kansas City. Your generous donation helped inspire, heal, and comfort a grieving child. The Moyer Foundation is one of the largest grief camps in the United States. They have over 60 camps free of charge for children who have lost a loved one. With your continued support and contribution, we will be able to make a difference in the eyes of a grieving child. Thank you so much.
Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops way above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me, somewhere over the rainbow. Bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why?
Your donations and contributions are needed to continue doing this kind of work. On your tables, you will find a yellow envelope that you can use to make a one-time donation. HPIC would appreciate it if each and every one makes a donation. Large or small, the best way to support HPIC on an ongoing basis is by a per transaction contribution. You can write HPIC on your green sheet at your office and let your MCA know the amount you would like to give per transaction. For those who you pay administratively, you can also let your MCA know how much to deduct from your paycheck. We appreciate all you do to keep us operating and able to help all of you and your immediate families. Now it's my pleasure to introduce to you our inspirational speaker of the morning, Mary B. Lucas, author of Lunch Meat and Life Lessons. Mary is also responsible for the company's sales, marketing, operations, training, service delivery, and talent acquisition support teams. She has more than 30 years of staffing industry experience, beginning her career as a customer service representative and rising to her current executive position with one of the largest staffing companies in the world. In 2006, she published the highly successful book, Lunch, Meat, and Life Lessons, Sharing a Butcher's Wisdom, a motivational memoir and tribute to her father on how to bring out the best in yourself and others. Mary has a Bachelor of Science degree with an emphasis in marketing and communications from Kansas State University, go Wildcats, and her executive coaching certification. So come on, you gotta look at somebody in this town. As advice from the smartest man she ever knew, her father, a butcher by trade. He was the greatest executive and life coach Mary has ever encountered. It is my pleasure to welcome to the stage Mary B. Lucas.
Hi everybody, and yes, go Wildcats! Two boys at the University of Missouri, so I'm covered on it. And so we're going to go to loyalty flows. So I'm also very much of a Tiger fan. So for all of you Jayhawks, I'm this big family. So I have actually one of my nieces is dating one of the coaches for the KU football team too. So I'm going to cover. So we're good here. Because I'm here because I want to share some stories, what inspirational stories we've heard so far. And that's really, I'm here totally by accident. I'm really not a professional speaker. I'm just a girl from Kansas who happened to be blessed to be born number 9 of 10 children to John and Mary Bigglemeyer of Shawnee, Kansas. When we said our prayers at night, we would say, God bless Joan, Judy, Johnny, Jimmy, Joey, dear, Jeannie, Jane, Mary, and Barbara. And okay, I'm married, obviously, so people want to say, well, why weren't you a J? Well, I would have been if I was a boy, I would have been Jeff. My mother's name was Mary. She was 40 when I was born. My dad said, maybe this should be our last baby. My mom was struggling a little bit. She was an only child, and now she was the mother of 9 children. So he said, all right, well, this will be our last one. Good Catholic family that we were. Grew up in Shawnee area. St. Joe Shawnee was my high school. And the number 10 came along. And we had Barbie. She was named after Aunt Barbara. And my mom would always say, like when she was very ill at the end of her life, one of the nurses said, there was a big picture of our family, all the kids, the whole big family, a family picnic. And the nurse said, you must be Catholic. Is that your family? And my mom looked at her, and she never was mean at all, but she looked at this nurse and she took her finger and she said, I did not have 10 children because I was Catholic. I had 10 children because I wanted each and every one. And boy, when my mom passed away, we had a needlepoint made that said, a mother is the only person on earth who can have 10 children, and yet each child has all her love. That's the way folks are. What you all do for a living is so powerful. I'll never forget when Mom passed away and when I came home. It had been such a crazy time for our family, and she died before my father passed away. And she was the center of our family universe. She was the glue that held us all together. You're going to hear a lot of stories about my dad, so I want to make sure I share this one. And I remember coming home, and Judy passed away in March over spring break. And I walked into the house, and I hadn't been home for several days because she'd been ill. And I opened up all these catalogs in the mail, and I look, and there on the back, you know how catalogs send you all these things to buy like 2-3 months in advance, and everything was being sold for Mother's Day. Well, I mean, I'm already emotional as it is, of course, and I look and I see this catalog and it says, a mother is the only person on earth who can have 10 children and each child have all her love. And that's perfect. That's exactly what we're going to do. That's exactly what we're going to do for Mom's a needlepoint. And then the second one was, home is where your mom is. And I remember pausing and thinking, wow, where's my home now? I thought, I know. I did it. Home is where your mom is. She's at home now. And I am a good girl. I get to go see her someday. And I started working at it, going to my dad, all the coaching advice. And how do you keep a life like Mom led? How do you live a life like you led, Dad? I mean, look at your holding glue, hold the family together now. How do you live a life like that? And I remember he would always say, you bring out the best. That's what you do every day. You work each and every day to bring out the best in yourself and the people around you. And you'll be just fine. You'll be successful. You'll continue to do well. Your measure of your worth at the end of your life isn't so much what you have. It's what you've given. It's how you give to others. What's the legacy you live? And when my dad passed away, we buried him right next to Mom. The tombstone said, to live in hearts we leave behind means not to die. To live in hearts we leave behind means not to die. I didn't know what to do with my grief. With my dad, he was my go-to guy, my coach. I mean, he was a guy with an 8th grade education, yet he was the greatest career coach I ever had. He was my inspirational leader. He was my go-to guy. He was the guy who would bring out the best in me, and I didn't know what to do. Now my dad was gone, my mom was gone before, we'd lost my brother Johnny. They buried their oldest son, and it was unbelievable how they responded to that, and the example they set for us. I'll never forget it. I was in 2nd grade, and Johnny was 21. He graduated from Benedictine University and had gone out to Pueblo, Colorado, and he was working as a disc jockey at a radio station by night, and he was working day at a ranch. We grew up in Farmount, Shawnee, where he's from, and I remember my dad said, I don't know if Johnny's going to make it home for Christmas or not. I don't know if he'll be here. And lo and behold, Dad said, I think he's coming. My mom would have been so sad if he wasn't there. After his disc jockey stint was over that morning, he got in the car, he started to drive. It was December 23rd. He got as far as Bonner Springs. He fell asleep at the wheel, and he died on December 23rd, and we buried him on Christmas Eve. I remember watching my dad and watching my mom, and the example they showed us, it was the only time I saw my dad cry. He never cried. He was always so stoic, and he was always that person who would set the example for the rest of it. And the day of Johnny's funeral, that's exactly what he did. I remember he cried between the funeral home to the church for the funeral mass, but I remember he got out of the little limo, and Jeannie, Jane, Mary, and Barbara, the little girls, were always in the car with Mom and Dad. The boys got to go off on their own. And I remember Dad opened up the door and he looked to the heavens and he said, "Thy will be done." He walked in, we celebrated Johnny's life at the funeral mass. We went back, James Noel, my brother Jimbo was born Christmas Eve. We had his Jim's birthday party, and we celebrated Jesus' birthday, and we had Christmas the next day, and Santa Claus came just like normal. Thy will be done. The faith was so strong, and the way they led by their example. So that's why I'm here, because you have your inspirational breakfast. You've heard story after story of people that have come to you for help and counsel and advice, and a little bit of financial support because they really needed it at the time. Well, I'm going to tell you a few stories courtesy of my dad about how he inspired me and how hopefully you can take some of that advice about how do you bring out the best in the people around you? How do you bring out the best in yourself? What can you take at the end of an inspirational breakfast that you can put to work in your own lives each and every day? So I'm going to get started. So first and foremost, as I said, Dad died on December 21st, it's almost 7 years ago. Thy will be done was what he always said. That was on Johnny's tombstone right next to Mom and Dad. To live in hearts we leave behind means not to die is on Mom and Dad's tombstone. And yeah, it was sad. I mean, we've heard sad story after sad story after sad story. That's not the way we lived our lives. Dad would say, if you don't have a happy birthday, it's your own damn fault. Celebrate every chance you get. I mean, he left us money to go to this very casino right after he passed away. He knew he was going to die. His heart was failing. He knew he was going to. We all had a $100 bill. We went to the steakhouse. That's what we are. Celebrate every chance you get. So it wasn't sad. Dad would always say, don't mourn me when I'm gone. Share stories about how I live my life. That's what I want you to do because I hope you're proud of it. I'm proud of it. And I can't think the greatest gift I've ever given anybody is the gift I gave you children, each other. He would never look at us and say, I'm so proud of you. And I'd take the spotlight in. He'd say, I'm so proud of you, just as I am all my children. We are always reminded that we're part of something greater than ourselves, the Bicklemeyer family. Yep, Bicklemeyer, that was my dad's name, John Bicklemeyer. Anybody know Bicklemeyer meats down? Yeah? A lot of you do. I love it when I talk to groups from here because you can picture these places that I'm talking about. Now I get to talk all over the world. I was invited to Spain last week. I was in London last June. And it's all because I share stories about my dad. And here you had an 8th grade education. He was a depression kid. And he was one of 10 children himself in Eudora, Kansas. Yep, there's my family. The Bicklemeyer family. You can see, I'm sorry, I know you guys don't have pictures over there, so you can't see, so I'm fine not using this at all because I just want to paint the picture in your mind. So again, you'll hear about what over the L means later. So when slides don't work, when microphones don't work, so what? Make the most of it. If you don't have a happy birthday, it's your own damn fault. You don't have a good presentation, it's your own damn fault. Whatever. It's nothing but flexible, that's right. So I'm gonna, you can see I'm sitting on my dad's lap over there for those of you who can see. For those of you who can't, let me paint a picture. There's this vintage picture of our family. And it's just all, there's 9 kids in the picture because this was right before Johnny passed away. Right after Johnny passed away. There's no picture in existence of my family that just has my mom and dad and their kids, all 10 of them. All of us. Because this picture was taken after Johnny passed away. And my mom and dad said, Joan, who channeled Sophia Loren, picture this 67 picture, and Sophia Loren in those days was so hot. Joan, my older sister, she was a 2 decades at a time, and she was hot. She looked just like Sophia Loren. Judy looked just like Liza Minnelli. And I was the one sitting on my dad's lap, which I think cracks me up because I wasn't that close to my dad growing up. I was close to my mom. I was named after her. And, I should have read a book about her called Laundry and Life Lessons because I was the girly girl, can you tell? And I was the one folding towels, and I wanted to be with my mom, that safe haven, the warm mother's love, those towels, that you fold, so warm. And Dad, our home in Shawnee, we were on a farm, and I'd gather eggs in the morning, and when you were around him, you had to work. Because he was this Russian Arab kid, and he had to come in, his mom died at the age of 42, and he had to send money home to help support his siblings. He was number 3 out of 10. And I remember he finally had enough money to open his own meat market. And he tells the story over and over again about how he got started. And those are the stories that helped me in my career. So that's what I'm going to share with you. Again, Laundry and Life Lessons could have been the book about my mom. Lunch Meat and Life Lessons was what I wrote about my dad because he was the guy I'd go to who would bring out the best in me. He was the guy I'd go to when I needed help, like people are coming to you. when you think for a moment now, as I share a few stories, because our time together is limited and I want you to walk away with some inspiration. So I want you to think for a moment. Close your eyes and picture the face of the person that you go to when you're sad, when you're down in the dumps, when you need some advice and counsel. Picture their face, close their eyes. Close your eyes and think about that face of that person, okay? All right, you have them? Open up your eyes. All right, now, I will let you go a couple slides forward. I'm going to show you the picture for those of you who can see the picture. If you go just a few slides forward, there he is, that's my guy. And for those of you who can't see the picture, I'm going to show the picture on the back of the book. And for those of you who can't see it all because you're in the back of the room, I'm going to have you visualize. Okay, picture Ed Asner in the movie Up. Did anyone ever see the movie Up? Okay. Picture Ed Asner, right? So Ed Asner in the movie Up, in the valley, and he had always wore the suspenders and he had that hat on, you know. And Ed Asner was actually from Kansas City, Kansas, which cracks me up because he would remind you so much of my dad. Bully kind of barrel of a guy, loud voice like this. That would be my dad at the end of his life. That's what he was like. So you picture Ed Asner in the movie Up, kind of a cartoon character. And my dad, though, the difference between the guy in the movie Up and when my dad, like the picture that is on the book back jacket and that you see here, there's buttons here on his shirt. Okay, most people have buttons on their shirt, right? Not my dad. At the very end, my mom passed away, and my dad's hands were so huge and gnarly from being a butcher all those years that he couldn't button little buttons. So he had all his shirts taken to the tailor in Shawnee, right across from where Shawnee State Bank is, right off of Newman Road. And he had all his shirts put zippers in them. So he'd zip up his shirt over his belly, he'd have his suspenders on. It was not attractive at all. Not even remotely. And, you know, yet, somehow Dad carried it off, you know? So when you thought about your best person, their face, you knew their face. But that's the face of my dad. So when I tell you stories, you're going to go, oh yeah, it reminds me of Uncle Joe, or my dad, or my spouse. Because there's stories about how you bring out the best in people, right? So you're going to think about your person. So picture Dad is Ed Asner in the big butcher block table at the family home. I call it lunch meat life lessons because whenever you were down in the dumps, you'd go out to the family home and Dad bought a big old butcher blocks. You know how a selling feature for you when you sell homes is the big kitchen island, right? Well, long before kitchen islands were in vogue, Dad went to the butcher supply store and bought a big old butcher block, brought it home, bought a Formica lip, put her on the side, got some bar stools from the Johnny's Tavern, the local bar, and you'd belly up to the butcher block. Dad would have a long stick of salami, he'd slice it real thin, warm German beer, white bread, and you'd walk to Dad, get a little food for thought and inspiration, and you'd walk away ready to tackle the world. So we named the book Lunch, Meat, and Life Lessons. After Dad passed away, my niece Amanda would always say, who's going to help me with my lunch, meat, and life lessons now? Whenever I'm down in the dumps, Grandpa always helps me out. Who's going to help me? And that was what we called it. You'd walk away inspired. And I remember thinking, the good news about being number 9 of 10 kids is your parents really pretty much leave you alone. The bad news is your children will never know their grandparents the way the other grandchildren will. My boys, Chase and Nick, could never say, I need to go see Grandpa and some lunch, meat, and life lessons. They'd never know Grandpa the way the other grandchildren do. So I decided after Dad passed away to start writing. And I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote. And I wrote stories of how he helped me and inspired me throughout my professional life. And I really wrote it for my family, my boys, and I thought I'll give it to them. I gave it to everybody on what would have been Dad's 90th birthday, because we celebrated every chance we got. And I thought that would be the end of it. And the next thing you know, we started a big family that I had. We started getting requests for more copies, and more copies, and more copies. And before you know it, I published it in a real live book version. Now it's published in Korea. I wrote it and I can't even read it. It's all over the world. I mean, I can't get over it. And I get asked to speak at groups all over about my dad. And now they're even considering making a screenplay, making a movie out of Lunch, Meat, and Life Lessons. So we know who can play my dad, right? And I'm thinking, I could be Cameron Diaz. No, Uma Thurman's getting a little old. And Susan Anton, she's way past there. That's who I used to always hear, Susan Anton. So, somebody can play me and somebody can play my dad. The important thing, though, is to live in hearts we leave behind means not to die. And with the stories to live on. So the first story I'm going to share with you is the story Dad told me when I very first got my first job. I graduated from K-State, and I'm full of myself. I'm 22 years old, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go get a job in an office. It was better than everybody else in my family. My sisters were stay-at-home moms, or they maybe were a teacher for a little while. My brothers worked in the meat business, but I was going to work on the Country Club Plaza, right on top of Toffee's Popcorn, right next to Harry Starker's, and across from Swanson's. And for those of you who don't remember those days, Halls of Swanson's, Harry Starker's is long gone, there's a little corner, it's now Restoration Hardware, and now my office is on top of Tiffany's. So I had this office I was going to go to every day and wear a suit, and Dad comes over and he goes, you're going to work in the people business tomorrow, you got that job in the people business, you're going to find people work and companies people, that's what you're going to do, right? And I stood up straight and I said, Dad, I'm going into the staffing industry. I'm going to find people careers. Yes, I guess you could say I'm going into the people business. I would like to say, though, I'm going into the staffing industry. Because I wanted to get out of your own way. You know, if you listen to me, I might know a thing or two about how to succeed in the people business. I have an 8th grade education. We're doing pretty darn well, I'd say. All my kids have gone to college. I didn't get a chance to go. And I've done pretty well for myself. Not only was he very successful in the meat business, he had his own real estate ventures. And so I said, all right, Dad, lay it on me. What do you think it takes to be successful in the people business? He said, well, you got to be mindful of the impressions you make. You want to make a great first impression, and you want to make a lasting impression. And I said, all right, Dad, how do you make a great first impression? Tomorrow, when you start your first day on your new job, every time you meet someone new, because you're going to meet new people all the time, I want you to remember that the first hunk of meat you sell is yourself. Are you kidding me? You want to tell your daughter that the first time a meat you sell is yourself? Seriously, Dad? He said, yes. And I kind of laughed at him. I was so disrespectful. And I said, all right, whatever. And he said, Mary, really, get out of your own way here. I know you want to be successful. And one of the most important things you do is to be mindful of the first impression you make on everyone you come in contact with. And not only that, you want to make a lasting impression. You want to make a positive impression. You want to make an impression where people really look at you and say, I want to go back and see her again. And don't worry about moving slides forward anymore, because I'm not going to follow along on this quite this same way. So he said, you want to make sure you make a positive impression. You want to make sure you make a lasting impression. And the way that you do that is you got to remember to pour the comeback sauce on everybody you come in contact with. And I said, all right, Dad, where'd you come up with that? He said, well, when I finally saved enough money to open my own meat market, I had 5 mouths to feed, 3 kids and your mom and me. And I've been working my whole career making sure I made a great first impression. First time go meet you sell it yourself. You know, you might like to say you never get a second chance to make a first impression, but I call it the way it is. 8th grade English is what I say. He said, and I think the thing that I think was maybe the most helpful for me when I opened up my business was I taught a couple of the guys that I worked with came in one morning, and I'd worked for Mr. Snow for a lot of years. He'd been my mentor, he'd been my coach in the meat business. And I remember when I told Mr. Snow that I was going to go open my own market, he said he wished me well. And I opened up my doors, and I took 2 guys with me who wanted to be part of my startup operation, Johnny's Market, 704 Cheyenne, down in Kansas City, Kansas, right by the river. And I took them with me, and the next thing you know, they came in one morning and they said, John, we're in trouble. We're in so much trouble. What do you mean? What's the matter? We were at Sadie's bar last night, KCK, and Mr. Snow was there, and he had a couple of our competitors with him. And he said he has a plan to get us out of business, and it just might work. Well, what's his plan? He said every time we advertise a price per pound, he's going to advertise 10 cents per pound cheaper. And 2 of the other competitors agreed with him. They're going to do the same thing and tell you can't afford to be in business any longer, Johnny. This is bad. Do you think Mr. Snow will take us back? We're going to lose this business. We're going to have to go back to work for him, I think. And Dad said, you guys are really worried about his plan? And they said, yes. And Dad said, don't be worried. The joke's on them. Their plan won't work. We don't have any money to advertise. All we got is the quality of the product we sell, the roof over our head, the knives we use, what little we pay ourselves. Oh, wait a minute. We got something special. We got comeback sauce. You pour the comeback sauce on everybody you come in contact and we'll be just fine. What do you mean comeback sauce, Johnny? What does that mean? I don't know. Every customer comes in, it's good, recipe's gonna be different. Think about it. The guy who just walked in the door, you had a nice interaction with him. You said, how you doing? He said, I'm doing okay. Had a hard week, my wife and baby are sick. What can I help you with? I need a pound of ground beef. My wife wants spaghetti red tonight for dinner. I'm gonna make that for her. Hopefully she'll feel good enough to eat that. It's been a hard week, I said. Yeah. All right, when you wrapped up that pound of ground beef, you gave it to him and you said, thanks so much for coming, come see us again. And he went up there and he paid for it. It was a nice interaction. There wasn't a drop of comeback sauce on it though. What do you mean, Johnny? Well, this is what it would have looked like if you would have poured a little comeback sauce on that interaction. He comes up to you, how you doing? Oh, I'm not so great, I've had a hard week, my wife and baby are sick. I'm so sorry to hear that. How can I help you today? I'd like a pound of ground beef. I'm going to make some spaghetti red for my wife. That's what she wants for dinner tonight. I hope that she's feeling well enough to eat it. Okay, here you go. Here's your pound of ground beef. Wait a minute. You know what? I'm sorry your wife and baby are sick and you're taking care of them, aren't you? Yep. Well, somebody ought to take care of you today, don't you think? I guess. Here. I took the meat off the scale here. I'm going to reach in. I'm going to get a little extra. I'm going to wrap that up. It's a little over a pound. You're just going to be charged for a pound. I just did something for you. Now, I hope you come back and see us again because we will always take care of you here at Pickle Myers. And I hope that you know that if you tell your friends, we'll take care of them too. Most important, you go home and take care of your wife and baby, and I hope they feel better, and I hope I see you again soon. Wasn't hard, was it? That's the recipe for comeback sauce, Dad says. And the next guy who comes in, it's different. You just think every interaction. Did I pour a little comeback sauce on them? Do I think they would come back? I remember hearing that story and thinking, yeah, it's different for everybody. And Dad was famous for this story. Don't forget the comeback sauce. He was on the cover of Star magazine. He was interviewed by numerous, even CBS Good Morning came in and interviewed him. And his key to success, I mean, who has a successful meat business? These days, when it's a boutique down at the bottoms in Kansas City, Kansas, you gotta go there. On Saturday, if you go there, some of you have probably been there on Saturday, I mean, it's unbelievable. You have to take a number, you're waiting in line. Their recipe for comeback sauce these days, they have such a huge Hispanic following. You gotta take a number, and they have authentic carnitas tamales. Pitch Magazine just voted in one of the top Mexican restaurants in Kansas City, and they're not even a restaurant. Go there on Saturday, and you're waiting in line, and you can go to your local Hy-Vee, go to your hen house. You go there for the experience and the legacy. You know, get comeback sauce. Some people come back, it works. Now, who are you going to put comeback sauce on? Same with you when you have your open houses. It's all the time. It's the people at home. There isn't a story I tell you that doesn't work in your personal life just as well as your professional life. I mean, heck, my boys are always telling me when I leave to go somewhere, I'm traveling all over the place now, Mom, don't forget to put the comeback sauce on our butcher block. We got a little butcher block table on our island. And they really like their comeback sauce perfectly in the form of a 20. Well, for college kids, they like a little bigger amount of that. So, those are some stories, you know, don't forget. The first time you meet, you sell yourself. Don't forget the comeback sauce. So you gotta make a great impression on the people around you, and they'll come back. It was hilarious. After the book came out, I was getting all these requests to go speak, and I got called from the Institute for Transfusion Medicine in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They said, we want you to come teach our phlebotomists about comeback sauce. I said, phlebotomists? I Googled it. Do you know who phlebotomists are? They're the people that take your blood. They go, we have a blood shortage here in Pittsburgh and the Central Blood Bank in Chicago. Why don't you go talk to them too? We got to teach our phlebotomists about comeback sauce because people aren't coming back. I will let you flip a couple of slides. I know I said not to, but we'll flip ahead. I'm going to have you show. So it's so funny. I get thinking, well, how am I going to teach phlebotomists about comeback sauce? And one of the things that I go, yeah, there it is, perfect, thank you. It's so funny because they said, come teach us the recipe. I thought, what's the recipe? This is in the book I wrote. All these things keep added now when I start speaking. And they said, well, what do you think the recipe for comeback sauce is? We need to teach our people. And I thought, well, if you use Dad's example, it's 1 part recognition, 1 part connection, and you add a dose of the unexpected. 1 part recognition, I'm so sorry that your wife and baby are sick. 1 part connection, somebody ought to do something nice for you today. Add a dose of the unexpected. I gave you a little extra. Come back and see us, we'll always take care of you. Now you go home and take care of your wife and baby. Oh, we went and talked to phlebotomists, broke them up in 3 groups and said, all right, recognition, connection, unexpected. Just take how you do it today and take how you're going to do it tomorrow. Now that you know the recipe for comeback sauce, what's going to be the difference? They each took their intake, their procedure, and their outtake. And all their clinical terms came down to, we're going to greet them and say thank you for being here. You had a powerful decision to make today when you woke up. You could make a difference in someone's life. You could even save a person's life. And that's what you did. Thank you for being here. They put their cell phones away. They put everything else away. They have greeting them. Procedure, before they touch them, because you know, I guess in healthcare, before you touch someone, you have to ask permission. Before I touch you, I want to tell you again, thank you for being here. It's powerful what you're doing today. That outtake, instead of having those Otis Smart cookies and orange juice thrown at them, thanks for coming. Little cards, O positive, whatever your blood type is, O positive. You know how you hear the stories and you put the faces with the stories? And nothing is more powerful than some of those stories I heard to move people, to inspire people to act. This O positive, that's your blood type. This is Sally. She's alive today because of someone like you. It's powerful what you did today. Now, will you please make sure that you come back and see us again? 8 weeks from now, there's the calendar. Because Sally and little girls like Sally need you. So they just changed their whole process because of a recipe for comeback sauce. To live and hearts we leave behind means not to die. Who would have thought Dad with an 8th grade education was teaching people how to ensure that lives were saved as a result of their actions. So there's a couple of examples. Be mindful of the impressions you make. Make a great first impression and make a lasting impression. Don't forget the comeback sauce. I want to switch gears and I want to talk a little bit about accountability. Because all of us have things coming at us. All of us do. And so Dad not only would be mindful of the impressions you make, he would also talk about the accountability you take. Because we're all going to be tested. A few of us were tested today, this morning, right? When something doesn't work, when something isn't the way you want it to be, when there's something over here you can't see, what happens? Well, Dad would say you get worried about things that you have control over, and those are the things that you need to put your emphasis and energy on. When there's things that you don't have control over, you need to realize they're just over the hill. Over the hill? I said, yeah, over the hill, Dad said. I said, what do you mean? I was complaining about work. I had a great career. I mean, I was one of the top female executives in North America in the staffing industry, people business. And I remember my boss was ousted by the board, and all of a sudden the CEO was gone, and I didn't like anything that was going on above me. I've been 25 years in the business, and I loved it. I loved the people I worked with. I loved the work I did. I loved the whole message of what we did. We found people working companies, people. And yet I didn't like the people I was working for anymore. And I was complaining. I was a Blue Moose in Prairie Village, Kansas. I heard somebody from Prairie Village too. And I was the Blue Moose, and I bellied up to the bar, and I'm sitting there with Dad, and Dad came to me that day. I didn't go up to the butcher block in Shawnee, Kansas that day. And me first sitting at the bar, and he's having his warm German beer, and I'm having wine, and I'm whining and whining and whining. It's Friday happy hour, and I'm not happy. And I'm telling Dad, oh, you wouldn't believe what happened. Now, this is what happened. This is what happened. He goes, okay, well, wait a minute. You like the people you work with. You like the work you do. You like your peers. You just don't like what's happening above you. The stuff you don't have any control over. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And you want to stay there. Yes. Well, then you need to just realize you're worried about stuff you have no control over. You need to just realize that some things are over the L. I said, what do you mean over the L? The bartender's going, what do you mean over the L, Mr. Whitmire? What does that mean? He said, we all get worried about things we don't have control over, and it consumes us. And it eats at us. And that's what you got to stop doing. You see, you just have something to help you realize things are over the L. Don't worry about it anymore. Where'd you come up with that, Mr. Whitmire? Where'd you come up with that, Dad? It was 1951. There was a flood. Kansas City, Kansas, all summer long it rained. And the National Guard came in one day and said, you've got to evacuate today, right now. The levees broke up in Leavenworth and Lawrence, and they said, Mr. Whitmire, you have to leave right now. And they escorted us out. All I could take was my best set of knives. You know, we moved from Kansas City, Kansas, and we're now out in Shawnee, the beautiful farm, the beautiful home we lived in. So I drove home, and this is 1951, and there's only one television set in the house in those days. He said, so we went to bed that night, not knowing what would happen. And the next morning, I woke up, and I heard your mother crying, and she was in the front room, and she's, it's over the L, it's over the L. And Dad said, remember my mom's name is Mary? Dad said, I went out to the front room and I looked at the television set and it was over the hill. The bartender and I are going, what are you talking about? He said, up the hill from the meat market was a grocery store. And on top of that grocery store, there was a vertical sign, and it said, Milgrams, Milgrams. And the water was over the L on the Milgrams grocery store sign. So where was the meat market? Underwater. Everything I worked for. I wanted to open my own meat market. I had my life's ambition. I had my own market. I was my own boss. Everything I worked for was underwater. So I turned to your mother and I said, Mary, let's go back to bed. It's over the L. And I said, are you kidding me? That is so gross. Is that why you call Jerry the flood baby? No matter how old you are, thinking about your parents like that is not good, especially when he looks like Ed Hazard in the movie Up and he has zippers up his shirt. Are you kidding me, Dad? The bartender's even going, ew. And I said, everything you worked for in your life is underwater and you chose to sleep in or whatever you did? He goes, what else was I gonna do? It was over the hill. Might as well make the most of the situation. Well, better do what you used to do, right? Okay, Dad. Really, it was Mary. Seriously, you get yourself so worked up over so many things you have no control over. The minute you realize so many things that you get discouraged about or upset about, they're over the hill. The happier you're going to be. Because some things are just over the hill. After I wrote the book, I went in the Starbucks line in Prairie Village one morning. I knew they'd all been reading the books. And it was so funny. I went in the line, all of a sudden, this huge crash behind that barista area, you know, and there's milk flying everywhere. And I heard the barista person, the person back there, who's doing bacon on the rings. I hear her go, and I think she's going to say a bad word. She goes, it's over the L. It's over the L. I started laughing. I said, oh my gosh, to live in hearts who leave behind means not to die. Don't cry over spilt milk just became, it's over the L. It's over the L. So again, there's so many stories in this book. Story after story after story. And really, ultimately, I think that the stories I want to share with you were the stories like the first time you sold yourself. Don't forget the comeback sauce. Some things we worry about are just over the L. Dad would say, don't take life so seriously. You're never going to get out of it alive anyway. And I think one of my favorite stories of all was when I made up my own story. I realized that I could create this legacy of my own. And in the book, there's all these every little snippet, there's like bookmarks for all of you, but all the little stories, that like 16 or 17 little bits of wisdom, they're all in these little boxes. And I loved it because all the other ones were courtesy of my dad. And then I remember, I'm sure none of you have ever had a boss that you didn't think appreciated you as much as you should have, because you probably all work for bosses that are totally, completely supportive of you, completely, and always give you all the credit you deserve, right? Good for you. Well, I haven't. And I remember Jack was probably one of the biggest examples of this, and I'm still good friends with Jack today. And I remember Jack was one of those guys where he didn't have a celebrate every chance you get mentality at all. I had this huge milestone at work, and I had all these people, I sent them all these boxes. This is when faxes, you know, we'd get the flash report via fax. And we had this huge milestone. We were reaching 100,000 hours. And I told everybody, when we reach it as a team, you guys just wait. There's boxes waiting for you. I shipped them airborne in those days before UPS. And you have a box waiting for you. 30 offices all over the country. I said, when we hit that milestone, you're going to get a fax. Open the box. Let's celebrate. So when we hit the milestone, they all got their fax. They opened the box. There's confetti and streamers and hats and 100,000 candy bars, $100,000 candy bars, those candy bars. Everybody's all over the country. They're all opening their celebration box. And they're calling me, oh, this is so great, this is so fun, we're all celebrating. What'd Jack do for you? What'd Jack do for you? Jack didn't do squat for me. He was my boss. He did, I don't even know if he knew we made the goal. I didn't want to make him look bad, right? He's my boss. That's my job, to make my boss look good, right? So I said, I haven't heard from him yet. But about the 9th call, I said, oh, I better do something about this. I called Fiddly Fig. I said, hey, would you send me a dozen yellow roses because Texas put us over, and put on the card, congratulations from Jack. The next time somebody called me and said, say, what'd Jack do for you? Well, there's a dozen yellow roses on my desk as Texas put us over that 100,000 milestone, and the card says, congratulations from Jack. Well, I figured somebody might say, good for you, Jack, so I picked the phone. I called Miss Jack. Hi, Mary, congratulations on meeting that goal. I just saw the flash report. I said, yeah, you're a day late and $1 short, buddy. I said, everybody's asking me what you did for me. And they're all celebrating all over the country because I've heard about that. And people have been saying how much fun they're having with the celebration you put together for them. I said, yeah, and they're asking me what you did for me because this is a big deal. You didn't do squat. So I sent myself a dozen yellow roses and I'm sending you the bill. You're the easiest direct report I've ever had. You keep doing this all you want, just don't send yourself a Ferrari. Okay, Jack. It's so funny, like I said, it's so in touch with Jack. I do business with him. It's so funny. He said, when they make the movie, Cameron can be you, Ed can be your dad. I want to play myself. Alright, Jack. And I realized then that I could make up my own butcher's wisdom. Nobody makes you happy but yourself. Dad would always say that. Celebrate every chance you get. So I could just make up my own butcher's wisdom up. Send yourself flowers. So sometimes you gotta do that, right? Well, these are just a few of the examples of the stories that I had courtesy of my dad that helped me. So like I said, you're gonna be thinking about your best person. Who's your person who brings out the best in you? And I bet you probably think that my best person does something very similar for me. They get me back on track. They inspire me. And so I think the third part of the equation was really that appreciation part. And I said, impressions you make, accountability you take, appreciation you show. Those are the three things that I think sum up how you bring out the best in the people around you. And the last part of the equation, it's not hard. It was when Dad really got me alone when we were in London, and then I remember I got this huge award. I was the branch manager of the year, and they sent me to our brother company, Alfred Marks in the UK. And I went over there, and the week before I started working there, I was going to work there for 6 weeks. Dad said, Mary, your mom and I would love to go with you. And I said, this is great. I said, Dad, I got freaking flyer miles. I can fly first class. I got some points. We can stay at that 5-star hotel in Kensington together. This is great. I get to treat you. Dad said, this is awesome. I get to go away with my 2 Marys. Only trip I ever had with just my mom and Dad and me. And I remember Dad sat across from me, and we had this incredible. We'd gone to the theater, we'd gone to Charm the Butcher at Harris, and we'd gone to Covent Garden that morning. And Dad said, look at all these people here at this farmer's market. It's amazing watching the people around us. Don't you love watching people who are inspired? He said, it's not the pursuit of happiness, it's the happiness in pursuit that inspires people. They all love what they're doing. It doesn't matter what level you are, what you do. The people that love what they're doing, no matter what it is they do, it shows, doesn't it, Mary? And because of that, I need to talk to you because I'm worried about you. I said, you're worried about me? He said, yes, don't get me wrong, I'm proud of you just as I am all my children. You, however, I'm very worried about. Why, Dad? Why are you worried about me? Because you're doing so well. You flew us over here first class. We're staying in a 5-star hotel. These are not the travel lodges of your youth. You're doing really well. And I'm worried about you. I don't understand. Have you ever heard the phrase, when you're all wrapped up in yourself, you make a damn small package? I've seen it before. People who haven't done very well before, all of a sudden, they hit the lottery, their business does well. They couldn't even afford a half pound of bacon before, and now they're coming in, they're buying a side of beef. And they act like they're entitled. They got a little more money, they got a little more success, and all of a sudden they act like we're supposed to treat them different. Don't you ever act like you're due. You take every chance you have to say thank you. Because you don't want to be a damn small package. I said, what made you say that? Why do you think I'm a damn small package? He said, how many times have you called your office since you got here? You got branch manager of the year award. How did you get that award? Sales, right? No, you got it because you hired great people. You surrounded yourself with great people who got you there. You call your office right now. Well, they don't want me checking on them. Don't check up on them. Don't even ask them how things are going to be honest. Call them and say, thank you. I don't know if I've expressed enough how much I appreciate what you've done to help us get where we are together, because that's what we are together in this. Don't you ever act like it's your due, take every chance to say thank you, or you can better call them out. And with that, I want to thank all of you for our time together, and I know there's so many more stories that I could share, because there's story after story courtesy of Dad. The story I want to leave you with, however, is the story of my dad's last day. And I leave you with this story because it's the reason I think Dee Dee called me and asked me to join you today. It's the essence of what you have, your inspirational breakfast. And it's the reason why I share the story. And again, Chase and Nick, my sons, are my inspiration as to why I wrote the book. Why I go on the road and share stories courtesy of Dad. It's because of this story. It was, like I said, almost, I guess it's going to be 7 years ago this December. Dad had buried his oldest son. The only time I saw him cry, the only time I saw him so deeply moved that he had to take a breath, look up into the heavens and say, "Thy will be done." He was always so stoic and just such a great example for us of how you live your life. And I remember he was obviously so distraught when Mom passed away, yet he wanted to continue to set an example. If you move forward, thy will be done. I don't know if any of you have ever lost a child and heard stories about people who have almost lost children and how they're shaken forever. My dad had buried his oldest son, and when he found out my sister Joan was going to die, he was not about to bury another child. He was 88 years old and he lived a good life. He said, "I've lived longer than any other Bicklemeyer male in history." And when we signed the do not resuscitate order for Joan, she had esophageal cancer. And he was about ready to bury another child. He drove himself immediately to Shawnee Mission Medical Center, and they told him he had congestive heart failure. It was a couple of weeks before Christmas. Joan was on the morphine drug. It's an ugly way to die, esophageal cancer. And she couldn't talk anymore, and Dad was not about to go see her again. He'd had his last conversation with her. He kissed her on the forehead, and he said, "I'll see you on the other side." He drove himself to Shawnee Mission, and they said, "Mr. Bicklemeyer, you better have a quadruple bypass here. You're not going to make it into the new year." He said, "That's fine with me. I don't want to make it into the new year. If this is how it ends, this is how it ends. I'm okay with this. That's right." And he rose truck home, and he, as I said, he talked to Amy's family funeral home. He negotiated a 2-for-1 funeral. Yes, you can get a deal. 2-for-1, on the dad. Left us the envelopes with $100 each in them to come to the casino. He was a frequent casino goer, and so they knew him, and he wanted to make sure that all the guys, the valet guys, got their salami, because he would leave them salami when he'd come in. And he left specific notes for us, and after a few days, and he left all this information, and we're at Joan's bedside, she's going to die at any time, and she's at the Shawnee Assisted Living Facility. And I get the call, "Get over to the Shawnee Mission Medical Center. Dad is in intensive care. They said he's not going to make it past much more between 48 hours or so." This was right before Christmas, the week of Christmas, and hospice needed to get a bed in front of the fireplace or they wouldn't let him go home. So I get over there, and Jane stays with Joan, and Barbie, the baby of our family, she's the boss of our family. I'll get hospice to see if I can get the bed in front of the fireplace. Everybody else is trying to get in time. The boys, they stayed at the market. They didn't really want to be around hospitals or assisted living facilities. They'd said their goodbyes. And I find myself alone in the intensive care unit with Dad. And he's completely coherent, totally coherent. His heart's pounding. He's talking, and he's picking comeback thoughts of those nurses, and he talked them into taking the wires and the bells and whistles off of them. And he said, "Look, if I go here, I go here. Whatever it is, I'd rather be comfortable." So he comes in, and I'm sitting across from him, and he's all about being comfortable. And I'm about where you are, and I'm sitting in the chair with my arms folded like this, and I am very uncomfortable. And Dad is just sitting up in his bed, and he's at peace. And he looks over at me, because now everything's kind of on me, and he says, "You look so uncomfortable. Are you okay?" And I said, I'm thinking, Joan's been away at any time. Who's picking up my voice? Does Scott, my husband, have a voice? What? How could this be happening? It's Christmas Eve. My mind's going a million miles an hour, and I'm being very self-centered and selfish, because, it's all about me, right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, Dad, I am uncomfortable. And he took a breath, and he paused. He said, "Well, then let's change that, Mary." And he took his hands, big hands, I told you, those big round hands, and he went like this. "Come on. Climb on up here and snuggle with me. Those nurses won't care. They love me. Come on. Climbed up into his bed, and I was the one sitting on my daddy's lap with that picture you saw of my family. And that's how he went out of this world. And I climbed up into his bed, and I snuggled with him, and I put my head on his shoulder, and I remember the weight of the world. Your best person, think about it. There he was, my best guy, my go-to guy. And I laid on my dad on his shoulder, and I just lost it. I started to cry, and I started to shake a little bit, and Dad said, quiet voice, looked down at me, Mary, really, are you okay? And I looked up at him and I said, no, Dad, I'm not. Really? Are you okay? And I'll never forget what he said. He said, yes, I am proud of who I am and what I've done. I like what I see in the mirror every day. If this is how it ends, then this is how it ends. I've spent my whole life preparing for this. Mary, I'm okay with this. And I looked up at him because, again, it's always all about me. I said, good for you. So happy for you, Dad. You're okay with this, but what am I going to do? Who's going to inspire me now? Who's going to be my go-to person? What am I going to do when I'm sad down in the dumps? What am I going to do? How am I going to get back on track? Who's going to inspire me now? Crying, sobbing. And he just had no patience at all. He just kind of looked down at me and goes, Mary, that's so easy. Your mother and I have taught you well. Inspire yourself. You'll figure it out. Inspire yourself. Well, we did get him in front of the fireplace. He died the following morning at 8:37 a.m., I think. I was with him. Went straight to Joan's bedside after Dad passed away, and we kept saying, Joan, you can go now. Dad's gone. Dad died on December 21st. And Joan kept pointing at the clock and pointing at the clock, and we didn't understand. What is she saying? She couldn't talk anymore. She died at 12:01 a.m. on December 22nd. The significance of this? Remember, my brother Johnny died on December 23rd, coming home for Christmas. My dad found a way, only on the calendar, to beat his oldest daughter and his oldest son to heaven. December 21st is a celebration of Dad's life. December 22nd is Joan's, and December 23rd is Johnny's. What do you do with grief like that? We had the double funeral. I lost my $100 like that. Had the steak dinner, and I went back to work. That will be done. That's what we did. I knew I needed to do something more. I needed to inspire myself. And I wanted most of all to inspire my children. They'd never know Grandpa the way Mandy did, or the older grandchildren did. They'd never get lunch meat life lessons unless I served it to them. I needed to put down some food for thought and inspiration courtesy of my dad. And I did. Lunch meat life lessons, over 35,000 copies now are out there. And I get inspired every time I get to go speak to groups. I inspired myself when I wrote the book. I inspired myself today. And I wish for all of you that you have that. I can't wait to go back and put some comeback sauce on my best person. Or I can't wait to pay it forward and pour a little comeback sauce and share the stories that I learned courtesy of John Picklemar today with the people that I interact with each and every day. And I can't wait to think about each and every day about how I can inspire myself to do exactly that, to bring out the best in myself and the people around me, because it doesn't get much better than that. So thank you all for allowing me to inspire myself today, and I hope that you take a little bit of my dad with you go forward as you share food for thought and inspiration and bring out the best in yourself and the people around you. Thank you. I know there's so many people put this event together, and I so appreciate the opportunity that I had. Like I said, we do have bookmarks for all of you, and right down there in the middle of my purse, there's a little apron in there, my father's daughter. Do you see that in there? And Dee, I'm going to give you a copy of the hardcover of the book. And also, I would like to thank you for inviting me. And I've got, don't forget the contact sauce pictures apron. You can wear that for the rest of the day. So I would like to thank you again. We do have bookmarks out there, and then there's also books. Chris, who helps me out, she's my former neighbor. She doesn't like to be called my old neighbor. Chris is out there, and there's some books. And usually I go to the American Heart Association. HeartsReliefBehind.com is our is our a website, but I would like to make sure that we donate a portion of the proceeds to your cause and to the people. Some of the compelling stories that I heard today, I know you guys do great work, and I'd like to be a part of helping you do that, because to live in hearts really behind means not to die, right? So, again, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Again, you can pick up one of our votes out in the foyer afterwards. Very good. Thank you. At this time, we'd like all of the team leaders to please come up to the stage. I can only imagine how hard it is for the team leaders to pick only one person a year in such a giving and loving company to receive this Rock Star Award. This recipient is always helping others, whether it's in the office or community, and selflessly giving back each and every day. Will each team leader step forward and tell us a little something about their nominee and present them with their Big Heart Award?
More? People in my office say I've never had trouble with the noise, so. How's that? It is extremely difficult to choose one person out of the fantastic real estate market center that we have at Keller Partners office, Olathe and Lawrence. Over the years, our market center, we've had many individual acts and examples of kindness, people who have put the needs, their personal needs ahead of the needs of others, their own for others. People open their homes and their wallets for a brother or sister in times of distress. It's at the time of need when the most incredible people do the most significant things. It's not just their effort that's so important, it's the impact that they have. This past summer, our Great Diamond Partners Market Center encountered a significant time of distress. One evening I received an email that our assistant team leader was planning on submitting her resignation going back into production real estate. Within a few days, our market center administrator walked into my office in tears and guaranteed me that this had nothing to do with the assistant team leader meeting, but was also taking a job that she had always wanted with some friends with that international company. Also, we knew that our daytime receptionist was due to take maternity leave and have a baby on August 1st, which was about 30 days later. And our weekend receptionist had taken a teaching job in Liberal, Kansas, and was leaving also at the beginning of August. Needless to say, the operating partner and myself were a little bit distressed. We have two fantastic offices in Olathe and Lawrence, and basically all but one staff member were planning to leave within 30 days apart. Meeting the needs of more than 240 great associates is the most important focus that we have as a staff, and now it felt like our backs were against the wall. We were feeling pretty desperate. We weren't sure what we were going to do, and for those of you with leadership in market centers, it always seems like you're just one step away from some kind of a disaster, and we decided to go ahead and have four at one time. We had to replace nearly the entire staff. We had to train 4 new staff members, and our systems are totally convoluted and different than anything else in any marketplace. It was added difficulty. It was exactly what we planned. And I just want to say that you never know what you have until something happens where someone has to step up. Somebody has to raise their hand. Everyone has a full-time job. Everybody has the responsibilities that they have. And then all of a sudden, before we even knew it, a hand slowly was raised. And someone on our staff that we just had never given the opportunity to shine came in full color and made the biggest difference in our market center, probably in the entire existence of Diamond Partners. She worked well into the evening many, many times without asking for anything, without asking for pay, without asking for thanks. She cut commission checks. She'd never cut commission checks before. She worked Saturday and Sunday. She worked during the week, late hours during the week. She'd be there when I left. She'd be there when I got to work. Our great community of agents never ever experienced the letdown that we thought would happen because we lost 4 extremely talented staff members at one time. She voluntarily took over jobs and responsibilities in addition to her own. She never complained. She showed us in a very, very big and important way how blessed we are to have her on our great Diamond Partners team. The people who do the important things at the most critical times are the ones you remember. Sarah Lyman, we will never forget your commitment, your loyalty, and the difference you single-handedly made.
It is such an honor to be in business with people who understand that it's about God and family first, then business. Having been new to this, back to this region, I've been very impressed with the fact that we understand that it's Keller Williams agent in the Heartland. And so this year, our big card recipient goes to an individual who really stepped up this last year and inspired me. The stories of inspiration in our office, there were multiple stories of people who inspired me deeply and inspired our agents. Most of you know that a couple of years ago, one of our agents, Stormy Meyer, tragically lost a 7-year-old son that was hit in a tragic accident. I've been admired and inspired by the Myers who couldn't be here this morning, and how they took that awful situation and turned it into something amazing, and formed the Kate Meyer Foundation, which is one of the main fundraising events of the year, the 5K race. And since they started this foundation, they have raised thousands of dollars. And one of our agents stepped up in a big way, and she really inspires me, inspires a lot of our agents. Katie Williams, amongst others, stepped up in a big way when the tragedy occurred by taking care of Stormy's business for 6 months. Since then, Katie has also been catalytic in raising funds for the scholarship, especially in the 5K. Even though the past 2 years, she has personally been unable to run in the 5K because she was pregnant last year's 5K, and once again this year she's pregnant again. It's over in the yell. And there was no flood. So anyway, Katie has enthusiastically rallied the troops to this event. And on a side note, Katie is planning on running next year's 5K and not have the same condition as for the last 2 years in a row. She's made a commitment to that cause. Our Keller Williams office in Overland Park, the agents really stepped up this year under Katie's leadership. Her energy, enthusiasm, and persistence paid off. This year, we gave $2,000 out of the ALC funds for this fund, and Katie also individually helped raise an additional $3,600. So we're excited to be in business with agents who understand that our culture at KW is not just about being nice people, it's about living in abundance. She's a homegrown top producer. Katie demonstrates an abundance mindset as evidenced by her leadership at the Kate Meyer Foundation and in every aspect of her business and life. And so it's with a lot of pride and honor that we present this year's Big Card Award, Katie Williams.
compassion can be shown in multiple ways. Whether it be how you treat those in your community, your coworkers, or those with various programs or projects you're involved with. Our recipient is described as gracious, fair in the workplace, never asking others to do more than she'll do herself. She makes time for questions from her staff and coworkers and uses a strength-based model to encourage those around her. Her enthusiasm for helping others shows in everything she does. She's active in company events where she not only helps in leading, but truly goes above and beyond. Her care, her compassion for those involved makes every event exceptional. It's an everyday occurrence to find this person gathering items or information to help our people in need. Whether it's a coworker, community member, whoever falls in a difficult time, they can rely on her. She'll use any resource available to come to their need. We've been very blessed in Lee Summit. She's worked with that office for almost 10 years. She's been a godsend for me for 4.5. Congratulations to Elaine Boyd.
You know, Mary was presenting this morning. She talked about what's your legacy going to be? You know, how are you going to impact other people's lives? And this person that is the recipient of the Keller Williams Northland Partner Award this morning, the Big Heart Award, is doing just that. She's living that on a daily basis with people. And she's leaving those lasting impacts on people on a daily basis. So I'm very proud to announce that this mother of 3 great children, a wife of 25 years, and she has a passion for business and community service. She worked in conjunction with the athletic committee at Smithville High School to incorporate the Kansas City Chiefs first down for Down syndrome into their school program. She was recognized by the Susan G. Komen Foundation and Ingram's Magazine for her work in Kansas City as a leader in the fight against breast cancer, as well. She's the founder of the Pink Ribbon Games at Smithville High School, which has raised over $100,000 to date for the prevention and treatment of breast cancer. And within our office, that, you know, we've had a few ladies who have been touched with breast cancer, so it's very important to us too. This year, in conjunction with the Keller Williams Red Day that we had last May, she founded a new charity event called Pink Carpet Event. This event has become an annual charity fashion show to raise money for early detection of breast cancer, and it's for the uninsured and underinsured women of Kansas City. Susan Highland was gracious enough to be our MC at that. She was a great day. So May of 2012 marked the first day that we had this, and it's the first time for this event, and it's going to be an annual event. And during this time, we raised $15,000 for the Stone Group. And that's the Stone Group of Kansas City for schools. So this remarkable woman was just heard commenting, I believe that each of us have been put upon this earth to be world changers. I can't do everything, but I can do this one thing to make a difference. For all of these remarkable results, and for her vision, this year's winner of the Keller Williams Northland Partners Big Heart goes to Gayla Ike.
doesn't deserve an award today. However, on behalf of Legacy Partners, I would like to recognize one of our fabulous agents who has really been a tremendous support to me over the last few months. She's not only generous and thankful and warm and inspirational to so many. I'm going to tear up. She's also been instrumental in many of our projects and fundraisers in our office over the last couple of months. She not only helps the office, she also helps her clients and her friends and anyone who comes in contact with her. She's always got a smile on her face, and she's always giving kisses. Many of you may know who that is. I would like to congratulate Rose Freeman Krill for all of her work. Rose is not only an inspiration to so many and gives so much of her time, she also serves on our ALC and is one of our top producing single agents in the office. She also led one of our first ever charity events for KW Cares, known as our KW Fun Days. We not only had mouse races and silent auction and bake sales, we also were excited to raise $1,700 for HPIC because we wanted others to have a better journey in their life. So I know, again, that there's many deserving in the room, but Rose is definitely one of them. I say congratulations, Big Red.
I am truly honored and humbled to be this room full of people of this stature. My recipient is Morgan's great agent and a very integral part of the team. He's just your all-around good guy. He's an incredible role model for our center, always positive. I've never seen a man without a smile on his face. Always willing to help pull out what he's doing if someone needs advice on business or just a fear to talk about their personal life. I was struck with the flow of my office when I became team leader at Southland Partners. And I mentioned it to my agents, and he looked out a secret and said, I got the remodel already designed.
Can't hear you, Tracy.
Better? Yes. Okay. Should I start with the over? Okay. The person that I want to honor is more than just a great agent and a very integral part of the team. He is just your all-around good guy. He's an incredible role model at the Market Center, always positive. I've never seen a man without a smile on his face. He's always ready to help and drop what he's doing to hear someone if they need advice on the business or just about their personal life. I was personally struggling with the flow of my office when I took over as team leader. And I mentioned it to him, and he whipped out a blueprint. He said, I've already got the remodel designed for you. While I was in Austin for a week training, he put that blueprint into action and remodeled our office for us, making our learning center larger, and everything was just going a lot better. I even got that wall, which I was requesting. I got to come home with it all completely done. He's actively involved in the community. He's been a city councilman. He served in the Development Corporation of Economic Development, as well as helps a great deal with KW Cares. He volunteers at the Farmers House, a not-for-profit organization that aids children with disabilities. He is continually seeking out education and programs to improve who he is as a human being. He's an amazing dad. I'm really curious. His children will tell him that he's their hero. He married his true love, Christina, 27 years ago, and has been a rock for her as a husband and a business partner. There is nothing Chris won't do for a friend or even a stranger. He's been known to go to the gas station and just pay for strangers' gas if he thought they were struggling. He's a benevolent man, and we are very proud to have him on our team at Southland Partners. He does nothing for recognition, it's all for the pure enjoyment he gets from helping others. He is a walking advertisement for Keller Williams, for what Keller Williams stands for, and this is why I believe he's a perfect candidate for this award. Chris, thank you again.
First, I'd really like to thank PML HPIC for bringing Mary Lucas to us. Thank you. That was a real treat to have you here. I know we all will take something back. And you can rest assured that your father's legacy goes very far. After hearing your stories about your father, I now know why your nephew Peter is my children's favorite babysitter growing up. So he gave a lot of wonderful things to your entire family. Acknowledging someone with a big heart is so much more than finding someone who cares. It's about someone with a core of goodness. It's about someone who has the courage to stand up for those who need support. And it's about someone whose spirit is strong like a leader, but gentle like that of your closest friend. We have someone in our office who is all of that and more. We are fortunate enough to work with someone who genuinely cares for others without expecting anything in return. And whether you know it or not, like a guardian angel, this person is looking out for what is fair for all involved. When you least expect it, you might be the recipient of a handwritten note by our big-hearted coworker. If you've just had a baby or have come home from surgery, our big-hearted coworker will be sure to organize a meal for you and your family. You will not be left without a partner or someone to visit with at an event, because our coworker will be there to enjoy your company. She's the one you'll find cleaning toys in the kitchen sink of a church school during Red Day when she could be doing something else, something a little less dirty. She's the one that will buy you a personal gift because she knows a little something about you that ties you together, and together you will share a laugh or two over her spontaneous generosity. And yes, she's the one to offer to do something to help you when you know she has just as much to do on her plate. She'll arrive a little early, stay a little late, and be there on the weekend to finish the job because she knows her work is for the benefit of others. Being big-hearted is not just something you do for others because it's nice. It's something you do because it's who you are and it's the right thing to do. You don't do it for recognition. You do it because it's natural. It comes naturally. It comes from being a devoted mother and daughter. It comes from knowing what others are going through and wanting to do what you can to make it a little easier for them. It comes from a commitment to those that have supported her in this business, thus having a desire to give back. While being big-hearted may seem like a big thing in and of itself, being big-hearted to this person is just part of everyday life. Her heart matches her soul, her courage, and her spirit. Keller Williams Key Partners nominates Kim Douglas, our Market Center Administrator, as our nominee.
Recruiting profits. Robert Greenlee, considered to be the father of servant leadership's ideals, among other things, defines servant leadership as someone who's serving first, who has responsibility to be in the world, and so they contribute to the well-being of people and community. A servant leader looks to the needs of the people and asks how they can help solve the problem and promote personal development. They place their main focus on people, because only content and motivated people are able to reach their target and fulfill their set expectations. While I've only been associated with Eastland Partners for a relatively short amount of time, day in and day out, I've seen the dedication, concern for others' well-being, and success displayed by one person over and over again. She selfishly commits time and resources to fellow agents and the Market Center, as well as helps carry her share of keeping the Market Center afloat in tough times. She's a coach, mentor, teacher, helper, and a friend to all she meets. Dee Harding, please come up and accept the symbol of our office.
appreciated the support of all of the offices that actually enable us to help people. We could do absolutely nothing without your generosity, and we do not forget that for a minute. One office has been particularly awesome this year, and we would like to give them the Pay It Forward Partnership Award. It is presented in recognition of outstanding support, culture, and contributions to Heartland Partners in Caring. I would like to ask Larry Keyser, Rob Hill, Dee Dee Morse, Ladine Bradshaw, and Chuck Jansen to please come forward. This award is given in honor of the work that you all have done, and we just appreciate you so much.
Sometimes people come into your life in ways you never expect. And when I started this journey with Judy, I was approached by this person and this person's company before we even were on paper. I hadn't even applied for a tax ID number yet. And this person's boss flew in and met Judy and I for lunch and told us that he and his company wanted to be a part of this in a big way, and in any way that we would allow them to be a part of this. I've been so humbled by the hands-on that HMS Home Warranty has been for Heartland Partners in Caring. Kent serves on the board. He drives tickets around to offices and drops them off for us. He comes to Harrah's and picks things up that we need. He drove me around, I don't know how many times, either had cancer or broken arm, was talking too much, you never know. But he's always been there. And that's not just a decision for Kent, it's a decision that HMS Home Warranty has made to give us over $30,000 in contributions over the past 6 years. I'd like to ask Angela Wilder and Kent Levinsky to come to the stage. Our maximum grant is $3,500, which means you guys have paid for about 10 grants out of our business. And Angela, we can't thank you and your company enough for your support. Thank you so much. Thank you. So we have this little game, I think it was actually not this past year, but the year before. Sometimes we get a little meltdown in things I do. And I hate to say that I dropped the ball on something, but I did drop the ball on something. This is going to be a chance that all of you are going to have to participate every single year in NCAA March Madness. It's $100 for each office to get into your brackets. Each office will make a bracket. Whoever wins that bracket that year is going to get a traveling trophy. And of course, bragging rights. And this traveling trophy will have the year that you won it, and your office's name inscribed on it.
Do it.
Is our traveling NCAA March Madness trophy. And the winners who have been waiting patiently, or maybe impatiently, of the first year are Southland Partners. We'd like you to all come forward and get the award. Now you get to keep that for until the end of March Madness in April next year when the Kansas Jayhawks are presented with the national championship trophy. And if you win it again, you get to keep it that year. So every office, let's have participation. This is a way for us to compete against each other and also be with each other in one cause. Thank you.
You know, our theme today has been pay it forward, making the ordinary extraordinary. And I look around at this room and I've heard the stories and I know the people and I'm just overwhelmed at how so many of you do make the ordinary extraordinary and pay it forward every day. When we started thinking about it, we think of someone who's paying it forward as someone who's taking action, making decisions that ultimately has a positive effect on people, perhaps generations that they do not know at the time of their decision or action. Look around at this room. We have, 250, 300 Keller Williams agents here. There's, about 800 in Kansas City? And another 150 in Wichita, would you say? That's what Dave told me, so I'm holding him to it. When I think of that, and I think of the impact of Keller Williams on my own life, as well as the lives of my family, and see that happen for you as well, I have to think of one family that's made a difference for us. Coach, Judy, Steve, Johns, would you please come forward? To the Johns family, the Pay It Forward Vision Award in recognition and gratitude for bringing Keller Williams Realty to Kansas City. They took a risk. They could be working for Warren Buffett today. Instead, they've created this wonderful opportunity for us, and we thank you so much.
So when I was little, I always wanted to grow up and be a mom. And so, thanks for fulfilling my dream. And I have to tell you, we never assumed it as a risk. We just saw it as an opportunity. And I can't tell you how excited I always am when we're together as a big family. And as one of the agents said, it's just like we're cousins and we get together with each other. So keep on adding to our family, okay? And bless you. Pay it forward. We have lots to pay forward in Keller Williams. And thanks so much for all the big hearts as you contribute to each big. Oh my gosh, you guys, these stories are amazing. And bring us stories that you know about so we can help more. Love you.
I would like to take your advice, Mary. I do want to say I'm really sorry you went to St. Joe, because you were probably in Shawnee when I was coaching in Shawnee Mission Northwest, so my own great boy. But I want to take your advice. Thank you for being you. And lead with your heart. Love you.
Thank you. You know, as I look around the room today, I see a lot of what everybody else sees. Great hearts, great businesses, great minds, great leaders. But what I personally see is that some of you could be calling me one day. I hope not. I hope that the money stays in the bank and everybody has a great life, but that's not what's real. It doesn't matter if you're a top producer, if you started here yesterday, if it's you, if it's your kids, or whatever it is. It could be your neighbor that has a need. They don't qualify for Heartland Partners in Caring, but I do get calls like that, and I do have a lot of resources. Sometimes we don't give money, we give resources. We continue to build on what we have. We're looking for counselors to join our staff. We have a dentist on staff now for people who don't have dental insurance. We're going to keep building that website and providing more and more and more for all of you. Remember that we're here. Remember that we operate by donations. And remember that we all, the staff and the board of Heartland Partners in Caring, love and care for each one of you. We're going to have a drawing, and then Susan will give some closing words, and we'll let you be on your way for the day. Thank you so much.
Mary, would you come up and draw for us? Harris has been gracious to pay it forward, and they have given us 2 rooms, 2 nights, 2 packages of 1 night. That's correct? Yeah. To come and play here. So we're going to draw for them, and good luck. Brett Pickett, that's it. Tom Lane.
Once again, we'd like to invite Charity Mozafari back up here to the stage for another song.
All right, everybody, this has been my honor. Thank you so much for having me. And real briefly, would you give a round of applause to my mother, Tracy? It's my pleasure. And with that being said, how many are to have a little fun? Can we have a little fun? Can we do something fun and upbeat? Are you okay with that? All right, does everybody know how to clap on beat in the room? All right, maybe a few of you. We're going to test that out right now, okay? So just enjoy yourself. If you know the words, sing it, okay? Listen, baby, ain't no mountain high, ain't no valley low, ain't no river wide enough, baby. If you need to call me, no matter where you are, no matter how far, don't worry, baby, just call my name, I'll be there in a hurry. You don't have to worry, baby.
right, well, we would like to thank everybody for coming out here this morning and paying it forward. If you are going to spend the rest of the afternoon paying it forward down at the casino, make sure and take some of those winnings and pay it forward back here to the Heartland charity here, and maybe some of that comeback sauce will come back around as well. So thank you all for coming. Have a wonderful afternoon, and remember, Mary will be out before you with the book. Thank you very much.